Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Brains, welcome back to On the Edge with April Mahoney. And today we are with Carol Buchanan from Australia. She's such a lovely lady. I met her on the internet. We had a really great conversation. We started talking about people's limiting beliefs, their core beliefs. Why do you do what you do? Okay, I'll include myself. Why do we do what we do? What is the behaviors behind what we do? She has a company called Move On, Carol Buchanan Counselling, and she works with people that are experiencing anxiety, depression, addiction, and trauma. She helps us figure out the why, and then we can work on the what and what we're going to do about it. So she's here to talk to us about that. Welcome to On the Edge, Carol. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you, April. Thanks for having me. It's such an honor.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. We were just talking about, we both had a fun-filled weekend. You went and listened to a band yesterday. I listened to a band today, and we've been getting our party on. So tell me a little bit about you, and then you're going to tell me about the work that you do and how you are really helping others, navigate through the storm.
Well, I'm originally from the UK. I've been a nurse for about 30 years, and I was working with people with long-term health conditions, and I really wanted to understand how to help those people, because often, they'd want to make lifestyle changes, or they would have addictions and other issues, and it just seemed like, they'd be going around in circles, and I knew that some of my language or my understanding of how to help these people could be improved. So I went off to do a counselling course, and I really believe in hindsight that we're often compelled to do these courses and drawn to do these things. And often it's about healing ourselves as much as it is about helping other people. So I had quite a few aha moments going through that counselling diploma, and that was interesting, enlightening, scary, wonderful. It was all those things that when we start to get those deep moments when we realize that maybe we weren't as all together as we thought we were.
Right, or you say, oh, wow, I'm twisted too.
Yeah, you're like, oh, word, and I thought I had it all together, but really all we've done is...
It's always them. But yeah. Let me chime in right there. That is the imposter syndrome, Brains. Don't think that it can't be you. Don't think that why not you? Why not you?
Yes.
Why does it have to be someone else? And when you realize that you got a tick or a twerk or something's wrong with you, it's okay to slow down and check in.
Yeah.
Your family may have been telling you, Mom, you're coming home and you're killing a bottle of wine every night. Or your spouse is saying you're really anxious. You're always in my face arguing and, chomping at the bit. Or you are having flashbacks of something that's happened to you in your life. It's okay to check in with somebody and say, I'm having these feelings. That's what mental health is. You would go in and check if your nose was bleeding or if your stomach was hurting. You have to check in with your brain too, right, Carol?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think emotional wounds are just as important as physical wounds. We go to the doctor and we go, I've got an infection or my arm's broken. And if we don't fix that arm or get on that infection, it can get out of control and fester and cause a problem long term. So if we've had an emotional wound where something's happened and we're still struggling to get over it, then, it's going to cause us problems long term. So let's just see it as a normal part of our looking after our health is, releasing something that's no longer serving us and allowing ourselves to heal. So yeah, absolutely.
Not self-medicating, thinking that it's, oh, this will go away. I chart my stuff. If I've been feeling sad or something more than 2-3 days, I'm gonna have a come to Jesus meeting or something, because something is just not right. Something's not right. You're not sleeping, you're not eating, you got diarrhea, you're always at angst, you go from a flicker to a flame, you have no patience. So let's dial back. Why do we experience these things? Why are our emotions so heightened when we're anxious?
Well, our body's job is to keep us safe. So if you've been through something that's been distressing, some of those emotions and memories and that learned experience gets locked into your nervous system, because your body doesn't want it to happen again. So it goes into high alert, and then it's always looking for danger. So it can lead to overreacting, becoming short-tempered. It can lead to squashing down your emotions and all sorts of things, just trying to cope with that. And I think that suppression is what leads us then to try and seek comfort. So I see that when we've been through something, if we don't really look at it, process it and release it, it remains like a stuck record in your body. So really, it's like it's happening now.
Right. So you keep reliving it. Well, I've talked to plenty of experts, and there's two trains of thought. One is that, okay, let's relive this experience so that we can reframe it. Others are going through hypnotherapy, past life regression, to where they get up to a certain point and they change the whole narrative. What's your feeling with that? And everyone's different, I get that.
Yeah.
But overall, do you think that it's okay for us to really face the fear, walk up to it and say, here, this is what I is, and now I'm going to reframe it, or to kind of erase it from our memory altogether?
I don't think you can release it from your memory altogether, because, it's still part of your journey, your life. But I think it's becoming empowered against the situation that leaves you with letting your body know that it no longer is an ongoing issue, so you can move past it. Often enough with people who've been through these difficult life experiences, there can be negative beliefs about themselves. So, the self-esteem has been downtrodden. They have negative beliefs that they're not good enough or unworthy in some way. So we need to change that, so that when we do address the past, we're addressing it from a place of empowerment. And to me, empowerment means self-love, self-connection, self-care, boundaries, taking care of yourself. So we need to do that groundwork first of self-care before we can address the past. And I don't think you need to relive it, because you've been there, done once. Your body's been fighting for you not to relive it. But we need to address it in a way that's you're addressing it from an empowered position. And in that way, the memory, then you can remove the emotion from the memory. So you've got it as an intellectual memory, but your body stops being triggered. So that's my approach, which I think is more helpful than just trying to brush over it and go, okay, so it doesn't affect me anymore, because it's your body that's responding, not necessarily your mind. So it's a stored memory in your body.
Okay, so now you work a lot with hypnosis. That's your bit. That's your peanut butter and jelly, as we say. That's how you spread it on thick. So when you get people in this conscious state, they realize what needs to be done. You may put in a little NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. How do they draw back on this? Because these memories, in my opinion, are suppressed. You release them, you work with them, but they're still there. They're going to rise up again. How does the work that you do and hypnosis help somebody kind of have a turnkey approach? Does that make sense?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by a turnkey approach.
But I mean, so they have a way of turning it over or turning it on when they're not in your company. What can they do after a person's been through this kind of treatment? What can they do to sustain themselves long term?
Well, I think it is about healing it. And that's why we're getting out to look at it, not just to keep reliving it. And I'll just go back a step, because I believe that hypnosis, and this is just my personal opinion, but I believe that hypnosis is just about your pure imagination. So it is about the therapy that you do in the hypnotic space, not necessarily hypnotherapy. It's the tools that you use in hypnosis. So the therapy that you're doing in that space. And the approach and techniques I've worked with is about, it's that inner child work, about saving and supporting and standing up for that younger child, and actually helping that younger child, so that the body sort of goes, oh, well, it's not really relevant anymore, and it's finished. So we have to somehow let the body know that it's over. And Peter Levine and Van der Kolk talk about, how we have to work with the body. And I see hypnosis as working with the body.
Okay.
So, yeah. So in
Mostly,
that way, I think,
everybody says it's, the thing that's between these two ears is that's where it is, but it's deeper because the mind controls the body ultimately.
Well, it's both ways. I see most of it comes from the body, which to me is the unconscious. That's my belief. Your body is the unconscious. So if your body is triggered, within a millisecond, you have a thought after. The thought comes after the triggering. You put your hand on a hot kettle, then you automatically pull your hand away. And that's done without any of your input. So your body responds. The thought process comes out a second later. Wow, oh my, that's hot, that's hot. So your body's acting on your behalf. So what we need to do is help your body to feel safe and to know that these events are over. And then the thought processes automatically change. Now, there may be some thought processes that ignite and keep anxiety going, because there's a part of you that's looking for ways to keep safe. So you're constantly feeding the anxiety monster rather than taming it.
And other people are antagonizing with their outside influence, with their shaming, with their blaming, with their lack of taking accountability. One thing I hate as a pet peeve is when people come to you very condescendingly and they say, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. What? I don't take ownership on that. I take ownership for when I feel my feelings. But when you've subjected me to something, or you've put me in a position, or you've bullied me, or you've pressured me, or disrespected me, I expect you to apologize to me and say, you know what, I'm sorry if I made you feel this way. No. But instead of you coming to me and saying, well, I'm sorry you felt that way, see, Brains, you got to listen to what people are saying to you, because that's some trickery. That is an insincere apology. What do you feel? I know this is kind of off the subject, but I'm going to ask you, what do you feel about apologies? My mother was never one to apologize. And that's not that she wasn't sorry for things that occurred, but she said that people know their intention on what they're doing before they do it. And then they come to you with this shallow 2 words, I'm sorry. And that's supposed to erase everything. Years of sexual abuse, years of, drug abuse, just all these different things. How do we say I'm sorry to myself?
Well, I think going back to the first part of the question about if, people owning the stuff, I think that's so important. You've got to, I think it's a sign of emotional maturity, the fact that you're able to apologize for your own actions and be sincere about that and work with that person to really help them understand, that you are genuinely sorry, and look for ways that you can learn from what you've done, because nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. So we need to look at how we can improve on our behavior and use that to go, this is what I did. So next time I'm going to be more aware, and I'm going to be able to act differently because I've recognized something within myself I don't like, something that I did, and I'm taking responsibility for it. So I think that's really important. And I think, apologizing to yourself is really about being able to have self-compassion.
Right.
And I think if you can have compassion to go, okay, yes, I messed up, but I'm willing to step up and own it and take amends to learn from it and grow from it, then that's self-compassion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Self-compassion's not about letting yourself off the hook, but it's about owning it and not allowing it to run your future, so
Right.
that you can make amends, you can be congruent with who you're apologizing to, and then you can also learn from it, move on, but not allow yourself to keep stuck in that past, but use it as a learning step on
Right.
this journey that we're all on.
Exactly.
And I think, sorry, can I just add one more thing, just about your
Absolutely.
just about your comment about how people do things on purpose and then they apologize in a really flippant way that's not doesn't show any integrity. I think we never know what someone's intentions are. Sometimes people do things because they're looking for a way to try and make themselves feel better, so they bully other people and be cruel and horrible and mean to other people because they're being, they've got poor self-esteem themselves. They haven't got good morals or values, and but they're often they are hurt themselves, and hurt people. So yeah, so and some people are hurting people through other ways, as they're trying to undo something that's happened to them, but they're doing it from an unconscious living. Yeah.
Yeah, because it sparks up a memory, and so
Yes.
yeah, they're reliving that. Well, so I'm a forgiving heart, but I don't overdo it. You can't keep saying I'm sorry, because it weakens it.
Yes.
It devalues it, and value is so important. How we value our relationships, how we value even our behaviors. What's important to us, how we prioritize things, how we prioritize individuals, edit and filter the people that are in our lives. People are there for a reason in the season brains. They may not be there your entire life. Some folks you don't want to be bothered with. Some folks you want to embrace and incorporate in your life. What are some of the good things after you've done all of this work and you've done this self-exploration? What are some of the good things that you found out about yourself?
About myself? Well, I think going back, I've always been that sort of person that squashed down my feelings. So I think I've come to a place where I'm sort of what's the right word, but rediscovering parts of my personality that I'd squashed down, to realize I always used to be sort of a serious person, but now I can be more lighthearted and fun and more imaginative. So that's been really, really lovely, and more carefree, and just to be more accepting of other people. I used to be quite, judgmental in myself, but really, when you're judging other people, you're really just judging yourself. You just don't realize it. So
someone told me too that a lot of times when you judge someone, they have characteristics very similar to yourself that you see in that person, and you're like, well, I don't like them because they're a gossip. And then here you go, you're running your mouth about the neighbor next door. Those type of things. But what would you tell a 25-year-old Carol Buchanan?
What would I tell my 25-year-old
self?
Yeah, I think that I would tell myself that I had, lots of potential, and that, that it was safe to have a voice. I think one thing, I always, I wasn't very good at saying no to other people. I'd go along with what other people wanted me to do because, it becomes a defense mechanism, isn't it? Trying to keep yourself safe by keeping everybody happy. So I'd certainly tell my younger self that it's definitely not my job to keep other people happy, and that I just need to be true to myself. So yeah,
you can't go along to get along all the time.
No.
You have to be able to say no.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think we're all, as we're going through this journey, my journey is to unlearn all the things that I've learned that aren't helpful to me, to let go of that. So I think we're all on an unlearning journey.
Right, right, right. So what would you tell a person that is in this space right now? They don't know what the hell is going on, whether they're coming or going. They're just in this vortex of craziness. How do you tell them to slow down, and where do they even begin?
Well, I think it's really taking a big hard look. If I could get somebody to stand at a crossroads and say, well, I can keep going down this path that I'm going on, and where's my life heading, and what do I want from life? Or maybe there's another route. Maybe there's something that doesn't have to be this way, because you're running your life according to your unconscious core beliefs. So your core beliefs about yourself are going to run your life like a program you've downloaded from, like you've got this super wonderful laptop hardware, but you've got a program on there that doesn't suit it and it's not working very well. And we tend to find that the patterns in life tend to be a repeating pattern because it's the beliefs that we're holding on to. So this isn't about blaming yourself. It's just realizing, hold on, I'm doing that thing again. What's going on? And how can I move away from that to something that's more positive and actually make a change? And I think it is about realizing that, we all need help at times, and there's no shame in that. And reaching out to a good therapist, of somebody who's going to help you unravel this and help you start to live the life that you actually want to, instead of, we often feel stuck. And I think that's where people come into my office and say, I just feel broken. And I go, well, you're not broken. You're just buried under a lifetime of rubbish and pain. And
I was talking to a woman today, and she just, we were talking, and she says, I just don't feel good about myself. I just am, I have low self-esteem. And I was like, well, you better put some coal in that engine. And get it working. And you can start with, again, self-actualization, realizing what you are, what you've done, taking ownership, responsibility, finding the joy in your life, the good things that you've done, the things to be thankful for, your family, your job, the roof over your head, living in a country that you're free. You don't have to worry about, being bombed, or your infinite possibilities, what could be, what you could have, where you can go, what you can do, so you can still dream. What do you say to the dreamer, Carol, the person that's just really ready to soar?
Well, go for it, feel it. I think, the issue with some people who are stuck is, I think that the more we practice that way of thinking, then the more we get good at it. If you are practicing how to play a guitar, you practice that every day, then you do it automatically. It's like learning to drive. You can drive without thinking about it. And, that's what happens. Thinking habits also get into that. So you get stuck. And the more you repeat it, the more you become it. So it's about changing that language within yourself to actually find your own self-worth. And ask yourself, well, I don't feel like I'm worthy, but where's the evidence that I'm not good enough? Where's the evidence? I can't find any evidence.
I love
so
that.
The true, hard, cold evidence. And, if your brain really is stuck in that repeat pattern, then find a good therapist that's going to help you change those neural pathways that you have built over time, that you've learned from your life. Because it all comes down to life experience. If you've had an experience where you've been brought up in a difficult household where you weren't praised or rewarded or treasured in any way, that becomes your belief. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not lovable. And that becomes your core belief. And that's what I talk about, that programming. That's running your life. That is your program that you're running. And it can feel like you're stuck in a rut. When you're out in the, there's been tractors on a dirt path and it's put big gouges into the road. If you're driving along that road, you automatically slip into those ruts. And, sometimes it can just, whatever we say to people, they're so busy thinking in here, and we've got to go into here. That's why I like hypnosis, because it's about getting the body to have a different experience, re-experiencing what they do want to have, and allowing to let go of the old stuff, so that when you feel differently about yourself, you'll think differently about yourself. Your thoughts are just, to me, they are a symptom of what's you're feeling. So we can change our thoughts, but they don't necessarily change how we feel. Or if we change how we feel, the thoughts automatically change.
Right. And you can reprogram yourself, Brains. You really can. And if you don't handle it, it morphs into something else. You know, internal sickness, disease. You know, you might have been a little upset and sad. Now you're anxious and depressed and, you know, on medication, or you've had a complete meltdown. Give yourself time to process things. Have conversations with people. Don't be afraid of confrontation. With respect, give yourself maybe a day, 24 hours, a few hours, but address those situations from the onset. You know, don't have a situation with someone and let time, you know, build up in between, because then there's a lot of assumptions and there's a lot of separations. So what we can do, and people that have had family and family issues and family problems, what do you say to them? Because it's hard if they're working on their self and then they go right back into this negative environment. You know, you're bantering back and forth. How do you deal with something like that? You know, you're fighting against the forces.
Yeah, it is. And think of it as being that toxic pond. You know, if you keep jumping it back into that toxic pond, you're going to get sick, because they're hypnotizing you into believing negative things about yourself. And, you know, we are so so affected by our environment, so important. So it is about having good boundaries. You know, if you're an adult, hopefully you can leave home. You can distance yourself, and you have to make some strong choices sometimes.
You say to the person, what do you say to the addict that needs that, you know, that needs that crutch? A lot of people say that it's a disease, it's, you know, and it's a sickness. I believe that. I believe it grows into that, you know, and I don't know. Again, I don't know. I don't think people wake up one morning and they smoke their first joint and now they're addicted, or they've taken their first heroin, you know, shot of heroin and now they're addicted. It's the emotion and the feeling that you get trapped in when you're in that and you don't want to deal with reality, or this becomes your reality. What do you say to a person that's addicted, be it drugs, food, sex, gambling? What do you say to the addict?
Well, what are they escaping from? You know, that is their comfort blanket. So, you know, we can keep addressing the comfort blanket. You can get rid of the addiction, but you're only going to turn to something else if you don't actually look at what's going on in your life and actually address it and allow yourself to feel. People are so scared of feeling their own feelings. We want to control our environment around us. You know, if I have, you know, control this and control the way things are going, then that means that I'm going to know what everything's going to happen, and therefore I'm going to feel safe. But we can't control our environment. We can't control other people around us. So we have to come back to that self-love and self-care, which is empowerment, so that we can trust ourselves to be able to deal with difficult emotions and to address it, put our big girl, big boy pants on, and actually address our life and stop hiding. You know, I think, you know, so many people, it is becoming an acceptable way of hiding, you know, and we do medicalize it, don't we? You know, they've got this disease, they can't help it.
Right.
And then we shame people as well. You know, you've got this addiction and we shame people for having that addiction. I might not even say his name right, but Gabor Mate. He talks hugely about addiction and say that trauma is the cause of addiction, and not all addiction is the cause of trauma. So, you know, he really talks about how nearly everybody with addiction has got some level of trauma. And you might not even recognize what that trauma is, but there's always stuff underneath. And when you face it and release it, you can let go of the comfort blanket.
Yeah, because a lot of times people start doing things recreationally, and then they sit there and, you know, then they start doing it solo. brains, then you know you got an issue when you getting high or whatever, and you're doing it by yourself. You at the casino and you sitting at the table, and everybody else in the casino is almost gone home, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and you still sitting there with the dealer, or you still sitting there at the slot machine. There's something there that there's a connection with the abstract.
Yeah.
It's not the concrete, it's the abstract, it's the fantasy, it's the illusion, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is. It's the excitement, it's the adrenaline that you get when you're in that space. Well, cut it out.
It might start off that way, isn't it? But it doesn't lead that way.
No,
the thing is with addiction, you need more and more to get the same high, don't you?
Right. You know, you're trying to reach that, you know, okay, the slot machine. You know, I know some people, okay, that have hit on the slot machine. You let me hit $1,000. I'm pushing that button, I'm getting my ticket, I'm going home. No, they just know they're on the street. They're gonna win 10,000. It is constantly chasing that high. Another high that you need to be aware of, brains, is the happiness high. Okay, because that is an illusion too. What's the next thing that's going to make me happy? Is it a car? Is it a new dress? Is it a new job? Is it a, you know, I'm making 6 figures. Okay, so when you get to that goal, because that actually is what it is, what is going to be the next thing to accelerate you? What do you say to people that just need to level out? You know, they just keep doing it. They just never find a comfort point.
Well, I think they're looking for external validation, aren't they? You know, if we've got a big house, then look at me, I've made it. You know, and we're living in that illusion that that's what we want and need, and that if we've got a big house and a fancy car, then we're going to be happy, and we're striving for that. You know, often I think that people don't have a money issue; they have a value problem. So, you know, they're trying to find something outside of themselves. They're chasing the money, they're chasing the fancy job, but when they get it, it's not what they thought it would be. It doesn't bring them the validation that they need. And what we need to do is bring internal validation and actually find ways of building ourselves up to feel good inside in that internal validation. I mean, because, you know, it's nice to have a nice house and a nice car, but to me, that's the cherry on the top of the cake. And if that's all you're chasing, then you're going to realize that you've never got the basics in place.
I know a lot of very rich. I know a lot of very rich, successful people, and they are unhappy. There's, you know, they can't pick up the phone and just say, oh, you know, let's go out, you know, celebrities, let's go out to the mall, or let's go out and have ice cream. What, you know, it's always got to be this shroud of secrecy and, you know, keeping you tucked away. I know some celebrities, Carol, that their handlers, when you're in their presence, they tell you don't even look at them. Don't even look at them. You know, I wish I could tell you who these people are, but I can't tell you. And I said, well, what the heck do you mean? I'm going to be in their presence for 4 or 5 hours and I'm not going to look at them? Then I don't want to come.
Yeah. No.
But on the other side, how that person feels that they're trapped in such a bubble that they can't even interact with society. That does something to your psyche too. So when you look at these people on television and you look at these bodies, you know, that are airbrushed or, you know, surgery or whatever it is that they needed to do, they're still not happy. You are trying to emulate something that you really brings, you have no idea. There's a lot of trauma there.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have to keep up this facade all the time. But I'm so glad that there are people like you, Carol Buchanan, that are the real deal, right? She is the real deal, okay? She's giving it to you 110%. She was in nursing, so she's seen, you know, people heal. She's seen people transition. She's seen people struggle. She understands what that is. She understands the behaviors that are behind that. And now she's dedicated her work to working inside of here so that we can get inside of here even better. Carol, please tell my brains how to get in contact with you there in Australia. Brains, she's in Australia, it doesn't matter. Point and a click. Okay, because you see how we connected? We will connect with you on maybe even on a higher frequency because, you know, you're more in tune to what's going on. You're paying closer attention. So please tell them how to get in contact with you, Precious.
The best way is through my website, because that's got all my contact details on. So that's moveoncounselling.com.au. And I do work with people all over the world. Recently, I've got a client in America who's literally helped him recover from PTSD. So, you know, this work is pretty amazing if you're ready to step forward. But yeah, my website's got all my, you know, my direct mobile number, email, whatever suits. You can pick the phone up, or you can even book a strategy online.
Well, I want you to get a strategy, Brains, because I want you to heal. I want you to be happy. I want you to laugh. I want you to giggle and get tickled. You know, life is, don't let this COVID upset you and get you all messed up. You know, it's a distraction, just like a lot of other distractions in your life. You got to learn how to cope with it. Some things are not going to go away, but we are able to deal. We are able to heal and move forward and live a very happy, productive life. Wouldn't you agree, Carol?
Absolutely. I think the COVID issue is that for many people, they've had a lot of stresses, and then the life bucket has got so full. And when your life bucket gets really full, you only need one thing on top, and it just overflows. So that may be COVID, it may be something else, but COVID is, that's a big thing in your bucket. But yeah, we've just got to crack on, haven't we, and make the best of our lives we've got right now.
Yeah, and if if that doesn't work, go get you a puppy or go get some ice cream. But go do something. Don't stay stuck. Thank you, Carol, for being here on the edge with me and my brains. We appreciate you. We adore you, and we want to work with you. Okay?
Beautiful. Thank you, April. It's been wonderful chatting with you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, brains.